Your
Okay,
screen
so
is visible, sir. Your
yeah,
screen is visible.
yeah, thank you, madam. Thank you. So, respected executive director, principal, coordinator IQAC, my fellow resource person, Professor Sivan Kalai, and all the faculty members and heads of the department, a very good morning to you all. So, this is a all of a sudden program because Professor Sivan Kalai was talking to me day before yesterday about the Scientometrics, which he has worked in other institutions. And he was very eager to give the how to do the Scientometrics for various disciplines. That is very, very important. Actually, Scientometrics was initially thought of a work to be done by a librarian. Those who do library science, they will be doing mainly the Scientometrics. But from his words, I understood that now every discipline people are entering into the Scientometrics. And that will be useful because in certain area, we may not have that much of facility to carry out our research work. In that case, if you have a good collaborator like our Professor Sivan Kalai, you can collaborate with him and you can do wonderful things using a simple internet facility. So that is the main idea. The other thing is why I am talking today is, as principal has pointed out, that now publications in journals becomes very, very important. And faculty must aware that they must able to publish a paper. One of the major problem that we come across with the faculty members, they are all hardworking. They can do excellent experiments. Yes, sir.
exam
Sir, mic off பண்ணுங்க sir. So there are a lot of hard work they are putting, but when it comes for a publication, when they want to express what they have done to this public, then the problem arises. So for that, it is very, very participants, please mute your mic. Participants, please mute your mic. It is disturbing. So it seems to be very important that the faculty should also understand how to write a manuscript for a journal. So that is what I'm going to talk today. The key points for writing your first manuscript. So once publication is nothing but the extension of the word public. So when you want to make your work public, then you have to do a publication, that you have to say the world that this is what I am doing and this is what I have done. So when it comes to a publication, then the person who did the research work, it is his or her responsibility to make others understand what is your research all about. So that is very, very important. The question is simple: what is your research all about? But the answer is very large, meaning it is not so easy to write and publish. You must be able to make others understand what you have written. That is very, very important. Therefore, the main thing that you have to develop in yourself is the writing skills, as well as to some extent the language skills also. So that you, as a young faculty members who are present here, you try to improve your language as well as writing skills. So what are the things you have done? The answer what you are going to give, what is your research all about, should be given in a clear and concise way. So now let us see how we have to do that. So if you see that here, once you have finished your work and you are going to write the manuscript for a journal, then what you have to do? First thing what you have to ask is what you did. You have to find the answer for what you did. So if you are able to find this answer, then it is very clear what are the experiments you have carried out, or what are the theoretical assumptions you have made, or of course in simulations or anything, what are the things you have the inputs you have given, how you are able to get all these things. So what you did, you very well know. And the second question you have to check is why you did. That is very, very important, because the novelty of the research paper lies in this question, why you did. Because everybody did, I also did. That is not a novel thing. Everybody did, but I did it differently. I came out of the box. So some answer should be there if your paper has to be an excellent one. And the third one is how you did, then automatically your methodology comes in. So these three questions are very, very important, that what you did, why you did, and how you did. If you are able to give proper answers for all these three questions, then it's almost you are ready that you can now start writing a manuscript. Now, once you have decided to give a manuscript, start a manuscript, then it is, you have to search for the journals, which journal you can go for this. And there are a lot of this one publishers are there. I have mentioned only few here. One is the Elsevier coming under Science Direct. Then Springer is there, Wiley is there, Taylor and Francis is there, and few more. IEEE is there, Hindavi is there, and a lot of publishers are available there. And these things are being indexed. These journals are indexed by 3 major indexing agencies. Mike, mute பண்ணுங்க sir. 3 major indexing agencies. One is the Web of Science, another one is the Scopus, another one is the Google Scholar. Web of Science is a very small size, because they all the SCI journals will be coming under this Web of Science. And next comes the this one, Scopus. Scopus, you can have some journals more than the Web of Science, which are not coming under SCI, but it is Scopus indexed. And the third one normally is the Google Scholar. And Google Scholar has more number of journals. Most of the journals that you publish will come under Google Scholar. And that is the third indexing one. And of all these things, Web of Science, where the SCI journals are available, that becomes is a pride for your publication, and your publication is considered to be an excellent one. And Scopus, it is okay. But Google Scholar, it's okay. For as a student level, it is okay. But as a faculty or a researcher, it is not that much accepted by any agency, like either you are going for a funding agency or going for an accreditation agency. So all these things are there. When you go inside, you are start doing this one. Hello?
Okay.
Then you start doing your thing. Then you can, when you start searching for the research journal, then you will go through all these ones. Once it is okay that you have chosen a research journal which has topics related to your research work, then the next step what you have to do is you have, and I am showing is the Science Direct, that is sciencedirect.com. That is being widely used platform for publishing. So this is the homepage of Science Direct, where you can see this one, where they are having there they are having physical sciences and engineering, life sciences, health sciences. எல்லாம் மியூட் பண்ணுங்க சார். எத்தனை தடவை சார் சொல்லணும்? பிரசன்ட் பண்ற ஆளுங்களா டிஸ்டர்பன்ஸா இருக்கு. So physical sciences, life sciences, health sciences, and social sciences. These are the broad area in which you can send your papers. So we are concerned with engineering and sciences. Therefore, I have chosen this page as physical sciences and engineering. And if you see there, these are the important disciplines where it is being covered. As these are broad, very broad disciplines. So starting from chemical engineering, then chemistry, computer science, energy, engineering. Once again, it is very broad. Then material science, mathematics, physics, and astronomy. These are the broad area. So what we have to do, we have to now minimize this broad area into a specific domain in which you are interested. So if you may be working on computer science, then you have to choose this computer science. And in materials engineering, once again, it is very broad area. Then you can find the subdomain in the next one, and the material science. So since I am familiar with material science, so I'm going for material science. Once you click on the material science, then you can see that the domain it is showing as material science, and there is one subdomain. So this subdomain you have to choose. So I'm choosing the subdomain. Once I click on the subdomain, and all subdomains are being displayed. So it is starting from biomaterials, then ceramics and composites, then electronics, optical and magnetic properties, like that. Material science general, metals and alloys, nanotechnology, like that. All the subdomain will come out. From the subdomain, you have to choose your area of interest. So you might have worked on composites, then you can choose ceramics and composites. Or if you want to, you have worked on nano, then you can go for nanotechnology. Or even if you go for some alloys, then you can go for metal polymers, like that. You can choose which area which is very suitable for you. So I'm choosing the ceramics and composites. So the ceramics and composites is being displayed here. Now you come to the right side, you can see the number of publications or the number of books and journals that are available in Science Direct under the subdomain ceramics and composites. Around 159 publications are there. So once you have chosen like that, now you can go through it. I'm just showing the screenshot, so I cannot browse it. So you can see, what you have to see is the difference. So here you can see Acta Materialia is a journal, or Advanced Cement-Based Materials is a journal. Whereas Advanced Ceramics for Energy Conversion and Storage is a book. So you should not choose a book, because that is being already published by Science Direct. So you should not go there. So you have to choose a journal. So that you can do here itself. Publication type, you can choose, you can make a tick mark here, journals. Automatically it will filter and it will show only the journals. That is very simple. So that you can do here. So from the list, I am choosing Ceramics International. That is the journal which I want. I prefer to publish my paper. This is an example. So, from the list, I have clicked on Ceramics International. So that will take me to the this one, the journal page, what you call Ceramics International. So this is how the page displays in Science Direct. And the first one, it will show you who is the chief editor and view aims and scope of the journal. All there. That will come in the next one. Initially, it will show a thing like this, what you called a site score and an impact factor. There is a small difference between these two, whereas site score is an average of 3 years citations, and this is being indexed by Scopus. And this one, impact factor, is the average of 2 years, and this is being done by Web of Science. So that is the difference. 2 indexing agencies are doing on this one. But normally, we won't consider the site score, because site score is the average of, or what you call it, it includes the documents which are either an article or a short communication or even a conference paper or an editorial or a simple notes, everything. What are the things you have published that Scopus will take for consideration? If there is any citation, that will be taken into account, and that average will be coming there. So it is not for your paper. Remember, this is for the journal. So for in a journal, there will be a lot of papers coming in each issue. So they will calculate what is the impact of that paper, or what are the citations that papers and notes and all these things have taken, is having in the last 3 years, and they will average it. Whereas the impact factor, that is the Web of Science, what Web of Science is doing is they will take only the citable documents, that is your articles, reviews, and short communications. They will not consider any notes, any editorial matters, or any conference papers that you have published as a special issue or like that. Nothing will be considered for that journal in the calculation of impact factor. So this solely depends on the paper quality of the journal, how many citations that the journal is getting, or the papers published in the journal is getting in the last 2 years. So that is the average of that one. So this is 2020. So your impact factor will be available up to 2090. And in January, February, you'll be getting the impact factor for 2020. Like that 1 year, it will be in the back. So this is the thing. But this is not much worrying you, because as a beginner, you need not worry about all these things. Suppose you are having a very good work and you feel that it should be published in a high impact journal, then it is well and good. You can go through it. For that, I am explaining. But if you are a beginner and just want to publish a paper, don't see the impact factor or site score. That will be disturbing you. And don't see that. See that you are able to make your work public. That is very, very important. And make that things to be accepted by the journal. So these are the things. So you can go through the latest issue, articles in press, all issues, article collections, all these things, everything latest issue, the volume numbers is given, is all published in 2020. You can go through it. Just only abstract you can see. And here you can see guide for authors, submit your article is there, then guide for authors, about the journal, all these things are available here. Whatever you want to see, get clarified, you can go through it, no problem. So now the important thing is you have to go through the guide for authors, because in the guide for authors only they would explain how to write your manuscript and what is the format of manuscript that is accepted by this journal. So you have to go through it. That is very, very important. And in order to check whether your paper can be within the scope, or what you call the priority areas or thrust areas of the journal, you can click on this one. Once you click on that, that will show you like this: priority materials and areas of interest. That is showing a huge one. It starts from advanced ceramics and composites for civil, military, industrial applications to it is electro ceramics like dielectric, microwave ceramics, ferroelectrics, piezoelectrics, then optical ceramics, then ceramics for nuclear fission and fusion, then bioinert and bioactive ceramics. So this is a broad area, broad classification. So there almost all composite materials will fall in any one of these category. That is why this particular journal is being chosen by many of the people who are working on composites and ceramics. So once you have identified that your area, suppose you are working on some dielectric and microwave ceramics or dielectric materials, that is the ceramic materials for dielectric applications, then it is well and good that comes under this particular. There is no way you can, nobody will stop sending the paper. You can send because it is within the thrust area of the journal. So after that, you can go through the download, the guide for authors, in which they would have given all the details. If it is time permits, I will show you in the last thing as how to go for that. So once all these things are being over, then you can start writing your manuscript. We remember most of the journals will accept 3 types of papers. One, it is called original papers. Another one, your review papers or review articles. And third one is a short communications. These are widely accepted 3 types of research papers in almost all journals, except few, whether they will accept some short notes or some other form of some what you called some correction, what you call, you can even challenge a paper, that you can write a challenge that this work is not correct, he has reported wrong, like that. Some other ways are there. So you need not go into that. There are 3 types of research papers are normally accepted by almost 99% of the journals that are available available with various publishers. So what is an original paper? Original paper is the original work done by the researcher, that you are going to a laboratory, or you are working with some, say like a software or a simulation studies like that. You are developing a coding and you are doing a simulation studies like that, whatever it is. Or you are developing a new hypothesis, purely a theoretical work like that, whatever it is. So it is a report of study written by the researchers who actually did the study. That is very, very important. So if you are the author or you are the researcher, then you are the author of the paper. So you will be explaining all the research. For that only, I have told you 3 questions. What you did, why you did, and how you did. All these will come here. So you have to give an introduction, you have to explain the methodology you have followed, then you have to interpret the results, what you have obtained, then you have to give a conclusion, like that. So all these things will happen only if you are the owner of that particular work. So in that case, that is called an original paper. This is routine. Then comes the review articles. Review article need not be your work. It may be some other work, because suppose you started working on a specific area of your interest, maybe IoT in agriculture. You are writing a review of IoT in agriculture. So in that case, you will be going through the various literature that are available in the domain on IoT for agriculture. How to do the literature review, I will be explaining in the last slide. So you are having the review, or gone through the literature, and you are collecting lot of information. Based on the information, now you are start writing a review. So who are the main people working in that field that you are identifying? What are the recent major advances and discoveries that are being done, say in the last 10 years or 15 years or 20 years? Is there any significant gaps in that research area that you can identify and tell? What are the current debates and ideas that might take to the next level? So all these things, in your experience, you may have some experience on that particular area. Your experience with the content of other person's work, you consolidate and you can write a review. Those who are starting your research afresh, that is, you are just registered for your PhD, or you are about to starting a paper on a new area, please go through the review articles. Review articles will be very helpful for freshers. If you are already worked on that particular area for the last 3 years or 4 years, then you will be aware of the present scenario on that particular area, if you are a very good researcher. But if it is not so, you are supposed to start a new work or a new area you are switching over. There's a lot of things are coming up in the engineering field, especially in computer science and information technology. Say artificial intelligence is coming. Then this one, what do you call it? Cloud computing is there. The cloud computing is also old one. Like that, many things are coming up. So this machine learning is there. That is very, very important. It's a part of artificial intelligence. IoT, lot of applications are coming. So if you are going on this particular area and suppose your PhD may not be in that area, now you want to switch over this one, it is better you go through the review articles which are already published in the journal, collect the information, then consolidate. So in that way, review articles will be very, very useful. Normally, review articles will be elaborate. It will go up to some 30 pages, 40 pages, like that it will go. So you will be getting a lot of things. The third type of paper that you can publish is short communications. But it should be brief. It will not have any introduction. It will not have any experimental part like that. The original paper, you have subsections. There won't be any subsection. It will be starting like an essay. Then the title will be there, authors will be there, affiliation will be there, a small abstract will be there, then you have to write. That's all. It is a continuous flow of written material. And it should be precise and concise. That is very, very important. And it should contain some unique finding. That is very, very important. So you have found something new, a solution to a problem, or a new idea that you have developed. So you want to get the proper and this one ownership of that particular idea. Somebody should not have published in some laboratory, in a very big laboratory. They have all facilities. They might do it in a day, but for you it will take say 1 month to get that solved. So in that case, if you are having a unique finding or an important breakthrough in the previous problem or a significant improvement in already existing system or a research finding, a significant improvement in the previous research finding. Such things you want to publish immediately and get the ownership for that particular identifications. Then what you can do, you can go for short communications. I will show you some typical things I will show you in the last. So these are the 3 types of papers that you can send for any journal, and you can select any one of that one. And once you have selected and you have gone through the formatting guideline for the authors, and you have seen the formatting, font size, then spacing, everything like that, everything, then you can start write your manuscript. There are 2 ways. If you have still doubt, there are 2 ways. In some journals, they are giving you templates. In that case, it is easy for you. You can download the template and simply follow the template, how and where the paper is being written, that you can develop. Okay. Suppose if the journal is not giving any template, then what you can do, you can go to the journal, download the recent published paper in that journal, and you can have that as a reference, and you can follow the same formatting and procedure. That is the normally you can do if you have any doubt after going through the author's guidelines. So once you have written all this one, and if you can see, these are the major sections that a any journal will ask you to write. Major sections. Some one or two may be not available in some other papers like that. It will be there. Okay. And these are the 9 major sections normally a paper will have. One is the title of the research paper, followed by the author's list with affiliation, then keywords and abstract, then introduction. In introduction itself, you can have to cover the review of literature. Then comes the materials and methods. Suppose you are doing a theoretical work, there is no no need to add materials or something. You can that the journal will say what type of that one. Then results with the discussions, both are included. Then you have to give the conclusions. That is a small paragraph, what you are concluding from your work. And if you want to say some acknowledgement or thanks to some supporting agency or your institution, whatever it is, then you have to say acknowledgement and finally references. So these are the 9 major sections that any journal paper will have, and you have to follow accordingly to the guidelines. So your manuscript, as I told earlier, your manuscript must clearly convey what is your research all about. So you should remember, this is a very important one. You should remember your paper is not going to be read only by the experts of your area of research. It can be read by any person who is not at all working in your area. That is also possible. So you should bear in mind that any third person who is not related to your area of research should also be able to understand what you are going to tell. In that way, your writing should be very clear and concise. That is very, very important. Please remember, your paper is containing a scientific information, and nobody is going to read just like reading a novel and throw it away. Your scientific information is going to help the next generation of researchers who are going to work on this area. So all these things you have to bear in mind. So the first advice to the beginners is do not use complex sentences. This is the major problem which most of the supervisors, mainly in my experience, I have faced with my students because of curiosity as well as to some extent of anxiety. The students will start writing and they don't know how to end the sentence. So they will go on putting comma, 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 and comma, and finally the entire paragraph will be as a single sentence. So that is the major problem that most of the beginners will face, because the curiosity will kill you. Because you have a curiosity, you have done a very good work, you want to publish, and you want to tell everything to the public. So in that curiosity, you will be going on writing and writing. But what happens if that paper, even your supervisor sometimes find it difficult to understand what you are going to or what you are trying to tell? So that is very, very important. Even in that case, the paper, if you communicate to the journal, the editor will be going through the paper first. So the editor should be convinced that this paper is containing some important information. Instead, if you are going on using complex sentences and confusing everybody, then it becomes a rotten and nobody will find any, even though your work is a very important work, because of your poor writing, it becomes the worst work. So what you have to do? Always use simple, short, and understandable sentences. You give it to your colleague, or you give it to some other person who is not related to your area of research. Ask him to read before you send the paper to the journal. If he says that he can understand what you are trying to tell, these are the starting stages only. Suppose you have published some 5 papers or 10 papers and you have gained some experience, then there is no problem, because then automatically your writing skills would have improved. But it is your first paper, take special attention so that your paper is getting published in the first sending itself. That is very, very important. For that, always use simple, short, and understandable sentences. No journal will ask you to write complex sentences, or no journal will say you should not write simple sentences. No. What they want is whether you are able to convince the reader what work you have done. So that is very, very important. You can discuss with your English professor, ask him to correct make corrections. And by the way, you also learn how to do it. That is very, very important. The second thing is the entire manuscript should be in a consistent way. You have to use same type of abbreviations, nomenclature, both in text and figures throughout the manuscript. This comes mostly with the experimental part, as well as in some of the areas where, particularly in my own area of nanocomposite ceramics, in that area, we will always confuse. One example which we faced is the writing the nanocomposites. Most of the students will do this mistake. They will start the first paragraph explaining, saying that this is the nanocomposite, what I have prepared, and these are the things. And in the discussion side, they will forget the word nanocomposites and they will be using some other word like nanomaterial or like that. They will change the nomenclature. If a person who is working on nanotechnology can broadly understand that nanocomposites and nanomaterials are the same class. But suppose a new person who reads this one gets confused. He will not have an idea about composites and materials. Even he will be getting confused with the ceramics and composites. So if for such a person, these two different terminology or two nomenclature that you are giving to your material will confuse. So that you should not do. Suppose you start with a particular nomenclature in the first paragraph, then you should maintain it throughout your manuscript. You should not use, it may be understood for your research persons. There are a lot of things like that, but it is not understandable for an art person. That is very, very important. You are writing a paper for the public, not for you or your friends. So that is very, very important. You should be consistent throughout your manuscript. Suppose you feel that it is monotonous of using the same word, you can replace, but be sure that that is universally understandable one. But please try to avoid changing the nomenclature. Use the same nomenclature what you used in the first paragraph. Suppose if you are using suppose you are using an instrument, it is having some long, combining 3 or 4 words, and there is it is better if you use an abbreviation, you can use it, no problem. So the first place, you write the full name, put the abbreviation in the bracket, and in the later stages, you can use the abbreviations, no problem. And for example, this is what we use, say powder X-ray diffraction. So it is shortly can be written as PXRD. So when the first thing, these particular samples were tested using powder X-ray diffraction, and the PXRD results shows that in that way you can change that. So this is how, this is my area, I am confidently I can explain. In your area, you can choose like that. So suppose it's a long sentence of describing certain things, then you can take the abbreviation, and later in the first part you explain the abbreviation, and in later stage you can use the abbreviation in your manuscript. Suppose you are using large number of abbreviations, then it is better open a new subsection below the abstract, abbreviations used, and you explain all the abbreviations before starting the introduction in your manuscript. Suppose if you are using universally accepted abbreviations, then there is no need to explain. The best example, mostly in biological sciences, it will come, is COVID-19. COVID-19 has been now universally accepted abbreviation. There is no need to explain that is a coronavirus that appeared in 2019. So you can put it as COVID-19, that is, there is no restriction in any journal, you can write like this, similar to RNA, DNA. These are widely accepted, and these things mostly appear in biological sciences. So in the scientific writing, main scientific writing, especially in the materials and methods, as well as discussions, results and discussions, you should not use, that is very, very important. That is third person. You should write in third person, and you should not use personal pronouns. What are the personal pronouns? I, he, she, like that. You should not write. It is not at all allowed in the journal language. Say, for example, there are same 2 sentences. The prepared samples were tested using SEM. And the second sentence is, we tested the samples using SEM. Literally, if you see in the English language, both are correct. There's no mistake. But in the journal language, in the scientific journal language, first one is correct, second one is wrong. You should not write personal pronouns in your materials and methods, as well as results and discussions. Okay? We are concluding, you should not write. It is concluded. Based on the results obtained, it is concluded. It is how you have to write. And methods and results should be in past tense, because you have completed the experiment, so your method is over. Based on the experiment, you have obtained some results. So the results obtained is also over. So you have to write methods and results in past tense. Very, very important. You should not use present tense or future tense. Or most of the scholars will be writing either present perfect or past perfect. It had been seen like that. It is being it should not be like that. It should be perfect past tense should be used while reporting the methods and results. In the introduction part, you can mix present and past tense depending upon the usage, and to some extent, personal pronouns is also allowed when you are using literature, when you are referring to a literature review. I am giving an example. Suppose if you are referring to a concept or a fact that is well established, sun rises in the east. That is the universal truth. So if you want to write like that, so I am given an example. Silica reacts with carbon to give silicon. This is a standard reaction used in the production of pure silicon from silica. So this is a well-established process. In such a case, you can use present tense. Silica is made to react with the carbon. There is no need to write like that. Or silica reacted with carbon, not necessary. Even if you write in present tense, it is acceptable. So see that whether that is an established process in your area of research or a fact, a universal truth. As I've said, sun rises in the east. It is not at all going to change. It is a universal fact. The second thing is where you have to use a personal pronoun is when you are using a literature review. You are referring to a literature review. There you can use the name. Ravi et al. Showed that, or they confirmed that. That there you can use a personal pronoun. So be aware that I am giving for each section how to use it, how to use your language. Tense usage I am explaining. Similarly, in the conclusion part, you have to use past tense because you are all have done that, and finally you are telling the conclusion part. So there you have to use past tense, and very rarely you can use personal pronoun. That sometimes you may be comparing your results with somebody else's result. Then you can say similar results are obtained by so and so, or these results are compared with that model, like that you can explain. And abstract is very, very important. I will explain what is the necessity for abstract in the last one, where I am touching this literature review. Abstract should not exceed 250 words minimum. So words, that is a maximum, not minimum, maximum. For a scientific writing, 250 words is too much. 250 words means normally a single A4 sheet. That is too much. But you see that is a maximum limit that you can give. Normally, you should finish in 100 to 150 words. You should not go beyond that. If you go on explaining the abstract too much, that will also confuse the reader. So highlight the important points of your work and fit them correctly. That is very, very important. Abstract alone will, title and abstract is very, very important to say that your paper is a good paper. Be remember, because abstract should contain all the important points of your work and also the gist of the findings. What are your findings and the conclusions derived? All these things should come in your abstract. Then, as I have told you, try to repeat the same words used in the introduction, results, and conclusion, like that. Don't change the words in different sections, or in the figures you may explain, you may writing a word, and the text you may be writing another word. Don't do like that. The thing is, suppose you have done a lot of changes in your paper, you are inconsistent in your writing, and the journal you are sent to the journal. If it happens in the review, then your paper will be rejected. Okay. So even the reviewer is going through that, and he is getting confused by the usage of the different words in your manuscript. So he may say it is not understandable, and he will be rejecting the paper. Or sometimes the reviewer may be of your same area of research, so he may understand, even though you have used an inconsistent language, he might have understood what you are trying to tell, and he said accept the paper. But a third person, after publication, the paper will be read by a third person, and he may not understand. So in that case, he will not cite your paper. So if the reviewer is not understanding the way of writing, then he will reject your paper. If the reviewer allows for publication, then the person who are referring your paper will not cite your paper. So either rejection or no citation. See that both ways you are the loser. Nobody is losing. That is what the important thing. So try to write a manuscript in a concise and a clear way. That is very, very important. And this is how this thing happens, and everything is okay. Now come to, after writing this paper, you submit this paper, click on submit. It will ask for login details, or you can register as a new user. Then you can upload your paper in the journal. So that it is, your paper now is being uploaded to, the manuscript is being uploaded to the journal, and you have to see that there is no plagiarism is there. So plagiarism, this is how Wikipedia explains, is an unethical practice of using words or ideas without proper acknowledgement. This is what you call plagiarism. So what you have to do, these are, you have to be very careful on these 6 major plagiarism, and that is global plagiarism, paraphrasing, verbatim, mosaic itself, and incorrect citations. And you can see that this is very, very severe. That is presenting the entire thing of another one's work. That is, you will be totally debarred and you will not be able to publish further. Rephrasing someone else's ideas without citation. Suppose you are referring to someone's idea, this is what that author has explained, then you have to give the citation, reference you have to give. If you are not giving any citation, that comes under paraphrasing, that is a serious one. And also directly copying a passage of a text without citation is also verbatim, line by line copying. Then different sources, text and ideas, combining this one, and without citation, without giving any citation, then also it becomes this one. And you can see the global plagiarism is very severe, and all these comes under the serious cases. And of course, these self-plagiarism and incorrect citation comes under the moderate one. So whatever it is, never do any plagiarism. You check for plagiarism, and there are a lot of free one. And this is an old collection. You can kindly refer to Professor Sivan Kali, and you can have a word with him and see that what are the new things available. And one of the commonly used is the dupli checker. But the thing is, you can upload only 1,000 words at a time. And if you are a supervisor in Anna University, then you can use that Urkun software also. So I'm not going detail into that. So please see that your paper is not plagiarized. It should be less than 10%. The only point, the last aspect, what I have to make a stress here is the literature review. That most of the people will say how to do a literature review or how to read a paper. For that, there is one famous Keshav's 3-pass method. Now, I just closing this one, this screen, and I'm opening a PDF file. You are able to see that? Are you able to see the paper?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Yes,
how?
sir.
Yeah. Thank you. How to read a paper? This is one Professor Keshav. He is a professor of computer science in University of Waterloo, Canada. So this paper was published long back, I think in 2007. Yes, 2007 it was published. It was a simple idea how to do a literature review. And he is explaining 3 important aspects. That is what you called 3-pass approach. First pass, second pass, third pass. So these are the 3-pass approach. Those who are the beginners as well as want to do a literature review are not aware of how to do a literature review, you can follow this paper. This paper is available in Google. You can simply download. So what he says is the first pass. Say, suppose you have selected one area of research. Say something, some area of research that you have chosen, for example, in what you call machine learning or some area you have chosen. And you want to see what are the work that has been carried out during the last 10 years or 15 years in that particular area. So what you do, you will be going on collecting the papers for that particular area of research. Let us say, for example, you have collected nearly 200 papers that have been published in this period, say for the last 15 years in that area which you have chosen. The authors have published nearly 200 papers. In the 200 papers, all the 200 papers will not be useful for you. That is definite. In any research, all the 200 papers or all the 200 authors who have published that paper will not be in the same wavelength of your thinking levels or your ideas, what you have. So there will be a strong variation. So how to do the literature review? Reading each and every paper and taking notes out of it and then consolidating will take another 6 months. If you are a regular teacher, it will take another 6 months. So in that time, somebody would have done it and will do the experiment and will get published, and your total effort will be in vain. So for that case, you have to do this 3-pass method, what you call the first pass. In the first pass, what you have to do, you take all the 200 papers have a notebook with you. You put number 1, then you just read the title of the paper, then abstract of the paper, and subsection headings, not the content in the heading, subsection, only subsection headings, and finally the conclusions. So what you have to do, you just take the paper, read first the title. Reading the title will help you to reject some, say 5 to 10% of the papers, because that title will clearly indicate this particular area is not related to your research proposed research. So you can reject that one. Title is okay, then come to the abstract. See the abstract. That is why I said abstract is very, very important. Even if you publish a paper, then another reader will go through only the abstract, what you have done. So your abstract becomes very, very important for that paper to go to the next stage of reading. So you have to read. Then just to go through the introduction. Then see what are the subsection headings. Any special new ideas he has come out in the headings. Then conclusions, what he has concluded. Don't go in detail about the content of the paper. This is what you call first pass. So at the end of the first pass, what the reader should have, he must able to answer 5 C's. That is what he is saying. He must be able to answer 5 C's. This one. One is category. What type of paper is this? You must be immediately saying that this paper is an experimental work. This paper is a theoretical work. If you are going to do an experimental work, there is no need for a theoretical work unless otherwise you are going to use some theoretical calculations in your paper. Okay. Then second one, the context. Which other papers is it related to? Which theoretical bases were used to analyze the problem? So you may have a hypothesis in your hand, or you may have a theoretical model in your hand, but that will be going on a different side, different platform. That will be worked out in a different platform, or the hypothesis is totally different. In that case, you have to check the context. The third one is the correctness. You have to check whether the assumptions that are made in that particular hypothesis are correct. You have to analyze. The fourth one is the contribution. What is the main contribution of this paper to the area of research? Whether this paper is a mere extension of the previous work, or this paper is simply giving some new data, no new hypothesis or no new idea, just used some old idea and they have done it for another system. That's all. And finally, the clarity. Is the paper well written? This will also affect you. If you are an author of a paper, the first one, 1 and 5. See, abstract is very important. And finally, the clarity. Is the paper well written? If you are using complex sentences and confusing the reader, even though you have written a very good paper, that paper will not be convincing the reader. So all these 5 C's should be answered by the author after the first pass is over. In our experience, in my experience, I can boldly say that after doing all these things, approximately, statistically, a probability we can have your 200 papers will now come to around, say, 125 or 120 papers after the first pass. So you will be rejecting nearly, say, some 40%, 30 to 40% papers in the first pass. So that is how you have to do. Now come to the second pass. The second pass is now just go little bit into the paper. What he is saying, look carefully at the figures, diagrams, and other illustrations. Importantly, you see the graphical representations, because once some results will be given in the form of graphs. Whether these graphs, they have given error bars. If there is a chance for a huge error, then that means the measurement is wrong. So you have to see the error bars. So all these things you check, and then You go through the reference and see that what are the references you have already read and what are the references you have not touched. Whether that references are given in this paper, then you make a note of it. So this reference, I have to go through it. In that way, you have to build. So this is the first pass and the second pass. After second pass, another say 20 to 25% papers will go off. So at the end of the second pass, now you will have only 40 to 50% of papers which you have to go in detail. That is the third pass. So the third pass, you have to fully understand the paper. That is what you have to see. You have to go through the paper, completely read the paper. And after reading the paper also, there will be some rejection. In that way, you have to consolidate and bring down the number of papers, which is very essential for you, which is related to your area of research or your hypothesis or your theoretical modeling, whatever it is, that you can reduce it to this level. And after that, you start writing a review or start writing take notes out of it. What are the relevant references you have? You collect it. Then you build up on that your area, your problem, how to do it, what are the modifications you have to carry out, all these things you can do. I'm just given the gist of this paper. You can go through it. This is available in the internet. Simply type Keshav's 3-pass method for literature review. This paper, only 2 pages are there. Very simple, only 2 pages. You can simply read and you can get a clear understanding how to do it. As I told earlier, there are 3 types of papers I told you, no? That is, one is original paper. So this is the original paper. This is our publication. That this is the original paper. This is published in Applied Surface Science. This is an impact factor of 5.2. This is an Elsevier journal, Applied Surface Science. Now you can see there is a title for the paper, followed by the authors, followed by the affiliation, then followed by the abstract. Then you have an introduction. You can see here, there is an introduction is there. So in the introduction itself, we are giving all the references. That is the literatures. We are giving what are the previous work done and how we are going to modifying that. After that comes the experimental section where you say materials, methods, and everything. And after this, it will be going to the material characterization, that all come. Results and discussions. That is the third section that the paper will have. And after that, you can go directly to the conclusions. All the results will be discussed here. And finally, you are concluding your results. And you can see these are the conclusions. And finally, these are the acknowledgements, because this work was supported by DST, our project work. Therefore, we have given the acknowledgement to DST SARB. And finally, we have given the references. This is the way how an original paper should be written. So this is, for example, for an original paper. So suppose you are writing a review. This is also our paper. After working for several years, we wrote this last year. It is published in the beginning of this year. January, we published this in Materials for Renewal and Sustainability. This is, you see, they have put like this. Review paper, they have put like this. So these are the aerogels, the promising nanostructured materials for energy conversion. So myself and my scholar, we both wrote this. And you can see here, this will be different. See, there will be an introduction. That is common. Other things will be okay. Title, author, affiliation, keywords, everything is okay. But the thing is, you see, there is no experimental part. Instead, we are talking about that aerogel and this work that is being carried out in these various authors. Most of the work we have reported here is done by other workers. Of course, our work is also included, but we have given this one. But how the various procedures that are followed to synthesize these aerogels. So methods, salt gel method, self-assembly method, all these we are discussing. Emulsion method, then how the network mechanism that we are explaining. So, and you can see this going on. It will be going on like that. Drying methods, how this is being dried, several drying methods, freeze drying like that. Then application of inorganic aerogels. So all these things will come, and you can see here we are giving the references. You can see all the references are given the last thing. These are the work done by other people. And in that way, it will be going on like this. So these are our results. Our results also we are referring. And so application, in the previous one, we are discussing inorganic aerosols. Now we are discussing organic aerosols, where carbon aerosols like that. So like that, it will be going on. There is no experimental section or results and discussion sections are not available in a review. It will be going on like this. And here you can see metal oxide aerosol composites. And in that way, it almost, you can see here,